Okay, welcome back everyone to Parenting in Our Community. I am really looking forward to today's conversation because it brings together two parts of life that often overlap more than we realize: parenting and creativity. My guest today is Bethany Howard, our town's poet laureate. She not only uses poetry to express emotion, community, and connection, but also brings a parent's perspective to it all. What makes this conversation special is that Bethany's children didn't grow up here in Clinton. So today we're exploring what it's like to raise children in one place and later become part of another community, to look at belonging from both sides, as a parent and as an artist. We'll talk about how poetry can reflect the parenting journey, how moving or living in different places shapes families, and what we can learn from creative expressions as parents trying to understand ourselves and our children. Bethany, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Okay, let's start off with, can you tell us a little bit about your family and what your parenting journey has looked like?
Oh, my husband and I have been married just over 25 years, and we have a soon-to-be 19-year-old and a set of twins that are 17. It has been a roller coaster, I would say. I think when you begin the parenting journey, you have an idea of how things will go. Like you have, plans and you have goals, and you think, okay, well, if we do A, B, and C, then this will happen. That has not been my experience with parenting. Parenting has been the most humbling journey I have been on.
Humbling, humility, that is a really great way to explain parenting.
Yeah. I think I'm humbled daily, really, honestly.
Yes. So your children didn't grow up here in Clinton. What has it been like for you to live and raise them in different communities?
I feel like we've moved a few times with the kids, and I feel like the move to Clinton was the hardest one, the hardest transition. And I think there were many reasons for that. Partly because it was 2021, the pandemic was still happening. My kids were, you know, preteen, teenage years. And it was a culture shift from Atlanta to Clinton to the Northeast. So I think all three of those things were just kind of a lot to manage. And so getting settled into Clinton was just a longer transition for us. And I mean, honestly, I think the kids probably in some ways did better than I did. I think it's easy, like when you move and the kids are younger, you tend to meet more of the parents, like you get connected to the community easier. And when your kids are older, I feel like a little bit more challenging to be able to meet people. Like, I wasn't going to the library for play dates. I wasn't hanging out at the park and meeting other moms. So it was a little bit harder for me to get to a point where I felt like settled here in Clinton.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like it was a lot of almost like a perfect storm, right? Like all of the elements to create this, oh my goodness, what did we do?
Yeah, it was a lot. And then, those things layered on top of just the things that a family deals with, the things that, that pop up, the issues that arise, the struggles of being a teenager, and that all of that would have happened no matter where we were living. I understand that now. It took me a little bit to figure that out, but yeah, I feel like just it was a perfect storm, and I don't know that I knew how to weather it very well. I feel like I got beat around a little bit, and the wind was a lot, and the rain and the thunder and the lightning. And it was, it just kind of took me a while to recover in some ways from, being batted around and shipwrecked, basically.
Yeah. And I think that also goes back to what you were saying in the beginning. Like as a parent, we set these expectations, which it is like a theme that keeps coming up in this podcast, is these expectations are really tricky because they can come from outside and they can come from within. And sometimes the expectations that come from within are the hardest ones to get through and to be able to let go and to be able to move forward and be like, it is okay that, yes, at one point this was my expectation and it didn't work out that way. And let's just move forward with having fewer expectations.
Yeah, really, it's the best gift you can give yourself and your kids, your family, just to be, okay, well, actually, I'm going to just step back and I'm going to let you be you and I'm going to let me be me. And my goal, instead of like hoping these expectations happen, my goal is just to love who you are and the way that you show up and encourage you to show up as who you are instead of like trying to reach these different goals. So that's how I have been parenting or try to parent. I mean, I still get hung up on expectations here or there, but yeah, I feel like the best gift that I've given myself is just to let go of some of those things that I thought would be.
Do you think where we raise our kids changes how they see community, family, and connection?
I mean, I think so. I think that you find community in different ways in different places. You know, church was a big part of our lives before coming to Clinton, and we just haven't found like a church home here.
Mm-hmm.
And so our community has come from different places, and it's taken more time to find community because there hasn't been just that third place where it's like we go to connect. So instead, I feel like our third place is, our connections in the community. It's fencing, it's school, it's friendships, it's volunteering. And so it looks different than community has ever looked in my life before. And I'm kind of digging it. Like, I'm really enjoying being part of a lot of different things. It seems to suit our family well.
So, how has becoming part of a smaller town community as a parent later in life felt for you? Has it been welcoming, challenging, a little bit of both?
Yeah, I would say it's been a little bit of both just because it's just been harder to connect. I feel like in a small town, specifically in this area, I feel like a lot of people have been here for a long time and they have their community, their networks are kind of already set and, they have a way of doing life. And sometimes it's hard to include somebody else in that. Or it's just, people like, I just don't have the bandwidth for one more friendship. And I get that. So it did a lot of times the people that I tended to connect with weren't from this area, but were living here. And then through friendships and fencing and those kinds of things, I was able to build a network of friends that, are family, basically. Yeah. So the other thing that I wasn't anticipating that I was surprised by living in a smaller area, like there's been a couple of times that, like once my son was riding his bike home from getting a snack at Starbucks and the skies all of a sudden like opened up and our neighbor picked him up. He was halfway home down the street and our neighbor picked him up and brought him home. And I was like, that kind of stuff doesn't just happen everywhere.
Right.
Where you have people that know you, know who you are, know your kids, know where you live. And like, if they see your kid out in a storm, they're gonna pick him up. And that happened again just recently, like when school started, that my kids had to take the bus home and it was a really hot day and they had these gargantuan book bags. They're just so heavy. I don't know how they do it. And our neighbor was like, no, I'll just drive you home. It's fine. Let me hop in the truck. I'll take you home just to save them a few steps after a long day.
Right.
And that means a lot. And those kinds of things, those kinds of connections make a place feel like home.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like that is something that occurs a lot in small towns. So like this is a town that I grew up in, well, for most of my life. And then now I'm raising my kids here. So I can understand how like there's a lot of us that said, we were going to leave and never come back. And we came back and now we're raising our kids here. And I could see how it could be like almost intimidating, right? Because there's these kids that have known each other basically since they've been born, right? Because the play dates started really young. So to hear what it's like coming in to that already made networking and those relationships that already are in place. And it's a small town, which means like everybody knows everyone. And you may not be like really close, but everyone still knows what's going on.
Right.
And they know about your kids. But then the flip side of that is that you do have people looking out for your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. That has been really, really beautiful, really amazing, to have people say, hey, if you need something, we're here for you. I can pick up the kids. It's been fantastic. And I will say it was a challenge for my children to begin in a new school system again in a smaller area. I think if it was like a bigger school district, it wouldn't have been so obvious like that there's new kids, and it was a little bit more challenging for them to kind of just, make friends and find their place and all of those kinds of things. But thankfully, they say it's not to try kids resilience. Like I don't want to like try to like give the kids opportunities to like grow their resilience, that they are resilient kids. And that comes from moving several times and just going through hard things and striving for what you want. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. But yeah, I feel like they've kind of hit their stride. And I have one now that's graduated and is having a great time in college. So that's credit to the community.
Bethany, how has poetry or writing helped you process parenting, like the emotions, transitions, and growth that come with it?
I think it's been a key to sanity, really, being able to process on the page my overwhelming emotions, like, sending my firstborn to college and how that felt. And I wrote that night that we dropped him off and just like sobbed through it. And yeah, it was really a challenging time, and words have definitely been key to helping me process things and not always finding the answers, not always finding an answer, but just being able to think through like what I was feeling, process what I was feeling. And instead of holding it in, instead of trying to just push through it or whatever. And I think that, that helps. Sometimes I share my poetry with my kids. And, I think that it helps them see how I process and how I work through something. And, like I said, sometimes you don't come away with an answer, but you come away like a stronger person. You come away more resilient. You come away just more knowledgeable about who you are, what you're feeling, and then also your relationship to the other people in your circle. If I'm processing what I'm feeling, that I can, in theory, show up better for my kids, for my husband, for my friends, for my family, for my community. If I'm able to get past, like, and not get past, but just like process what I'm feeling and be like, okay, this is what it is. I'm holding it in my hands. I'm looking at it. I can see what it looks like. I can name it. And then I can let it go. And then my hands are open to engage with the world around me.
Does it also almost like validate what you're going through?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I realize, yeah, like I was saying, that it's the key to sanity. I realize that I'm not insane, that I have emotions, and those are, newsflash, a big part of one's life, a huge part. And they should be. I mean, there's so much involved in what we feel. It impacts everything, everything. Yeah. Like we can't afford to ignore our feelings, our emotions. And I feel like for the kids, like we often talk about like how we're feeling or, oh, it was a good day. Okay. Well, what made it good? Like,
Right.
let's dive a little bit deeper. Like, or, okay, you're upset. Well, why? What are the reasons? What happened in the day that made you feel that way? Did somebody make fun of you? Like, tell me what happened. And I think that is so important in just in the life of a family, because if you have kids that are emotionally intelligent, I mean, that just makes a way for them to be able to process their emotions. They can be an example to their friends and
Mm-hmm.
help their friends, but they become, emotionally intelligent adults. And that is, I mean, a huge part of not like a successful person, like whatever that means, but it for somebody to be able to be like part of the world, part of their community, to be able to engage in what's going on around them, whether
Right.
it's at their workplace, their community, their family. Emotionally intelligent people are able to show up, I feel like, in maybe in
Mm-hmm.
different ways than other people who struggle to process or choose to not understand or learn how to process their emotions. So yeah, I think poetry has been just a godsend for me. And I have to just sit down. I have to just sit down and write, or words will pop into my head in the middle of the night. Yeah, words seem to be my way through.
That's great. Emotional intelligence has popped up in every single one of my interviews.
No way.
Yes, every single one. And we even had kind of an expert, Annie Hefferly, went and I interviewed her, and it was actually all about emotional intelligence. And it just is kind of surreal how it
Crazy.
continually comes up
Yeah.
ever since then. And one of the things that she had mentioned is you cannot change your IQ.
Mm.
And then there was another thing that you cannot change, like score wise. But as far as emotional intelligence, that is the one thing that you can change. You can educate yourself. You can learn more about it. You can learn about your own feelings and how to process that. You can learn how to read other people, which is the second half of emotional intelligence. Is it's not just about us.
Right.
It's about the people around us and their feelings and how do they process things, because we all process them differently. Like you process through poetry, right?
Yeah.
That probably is not something that I turn to myself. Like I process things, to be honest, I process things with my camera because I'm a photographer. So I am constantly looking through the lens,
Yeah.
right? Which helps me see things from different perspectives,
Yeah.
which is what poetry does for you.
Right. 100%.
So like helping kids and parents understand, like finding these things that fill our cups and help us process life, our emotions, because emotions get so big.
Mm-hmm. Especially teenagers.
Yes.
Especially so. They're dealing with so much and so much more than when I was in high school. Like it's a whole different world out there, whole different world. And so, yeah, I think that them learning how to, like in how you were saying, like in their own way,
Mm-hmm.
when maybe it's drawing, maybe it's being out in the woods,
Right.
maybe it's just exercising and walking and just kind of getting to some of the angst out, and to be able to actually process then what you are thinking, what you are feeling. Because sometimes there's layers, like it can
Mm-hmm.
take some time to uncover, like, oh, I thought I was like angry, but I'm actually sad. Like
Right.
that's actually what's happening here. And you deal with sadness completely different than you deal with anger in some ways. Like you ask different questions, and and I think too that, like you were saying, that being emotionally intelligent also means that you're able to understand better the people around you. And I think that for whatever reason, I don't know, I feel like like the word empathy has been getting a bad rap.
Mhm.
And emotional intelligence maybe is never like the most like popular thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like it's better to be like, the quarterback, or it's better to be like the head of the whatever the cool club is at school, whatever the best club is at school. But anyways, like emotional intelligence is not like, like, well, I'm an emotionally intelligent person. Like nobody gets like their name in the paper
Right.
for that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gets like recognized for that. But it makes like a huge difference as an adult where, oh, you can find a way through really, really hard stuff
Mhm.
because of the work that you did as a younger person, because you thought, like, because you were like, oh, well, actually emotions matter. And that's like what matters at every stage of life, no
Right.
matter how old you are. And so I think, I hope that looking back, my kids will be thankful for all of the questions after school and the conversations. And you know, not that we do it right all the time, not that we're like some like professional emotional intelligence people. No, we're not. We screw up all the time. But I feel like if you keep the main thing, that eventually you come back to it, even
Right.
when you screw up.
It's so it's essentially your foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not something that you're always going to see. It's not something you're always going to remember. It's not something you're always going to feel, because the foundation is underneath everything.
But it's something you always come back to.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. It's something you always come back to. And I feel like that, and as hard as, the road has been at times, I feel like the kids have like, if the kids have a safe place, if they have a place where they know I can say what I'm thinking, I can say what I'm feeling, and this is what happened at school and blah, 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 blah. Like if they have that foundation where they can be okay, even when they're not okay, that oh my gosh, that makes a huge, huge difference to people, to the kids. And I also want to be that place for kids that are not my own, for other
Right.
kids, whether it's through poetry or whether they're just hanging out at my house, and I'm just like, hey, how are you doing?
Right.
That's definitely the kind of person that I want to be in the community. I want to be a safe place for the kids. And I want to help them learn to use poetry as part of one of the ways they process. And for me, that is music.
Mhm.
Poetry isn't just like sitting down with a pen and the page and just like releasing all of the stuff inside of you. Sometimes processing through poetry is turning on your favorite song and just letting loose, just dancing and dancing, singing at the top of your lungs, because a song is poetry. It's just such a music. And so sometimes I feel like we try to make poetry this like elite thing that is inaccessible. But all of us listen to poetry. If you're listening to music, you're listening to poetry. That's my take on it anyway. And if you look at it that way, it makes poetry super accessible
Right.
to all of us because, from the little ones up to the oldest of us, so many times we have a connection to music, from a certain period in our life, when we were teenagers, this is what we were listening to, and that song comes on. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, to be young again. But yeah. So yeah, I'm a big fan of music too. And I want kids to know that poetry is music, music is poetry. And that can be a way to process and release some of the things that you're feeling.
I think like hearing that is also inviting, because when you hear poetry, at least for me, it could be intimidating, because it's like, that's not something that I could do, right? But that's where the accessibility comes in. It
Yeah.
is something that we can all do, and poetry doesn't look the same for everyone.
Exactly. And it shouldn't. I mean, just like there's different, if different people paint a picture, it's going to look completely different. And poetry is the same way, the same as a sculpture, the same as watercolor. acrylics, oil paint, whatever, it's all going to look different depending on whose heart and soul it's coming out of. And that's the beauty of it. Like that's the beauty of being a human. And if every poem was the same, that'd be a travesty.
It would. It definitely would.
It really would be. So I do love, my heart is for accessible poetry, and also, poetry in different languages, learning, reading poetry that's been translated. And I love to hear it in the original language as well. And I think it's just, poetry can be such a gift to a person, but also to a community. Like, imagine if we just had like a whole town of emotionally intelligent people. Like, that'd be so amazing. And not saying that we don't. I'm not saying that we don't, but a lot of people are very in tune with their emotions and able to process and everything. But I think that would be like, the world would be different. The world would be so different if we were all just like really seeking out the best for each other. Like,
Right.
no, I want to understand why you feel that way. No, really, let's sit down over a cup of coffee, over French fries and a burger, whatever it might be. I want to understand you. Like,
Right.
imagine how conversations would make a way to change.
And again, that's going, like, it's taking us back to emotional intelligence,
Right.
to that second part. Like, emotional intelligence is not one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And humans are not one-sided.
Yeah.
And so if we just could, like, my kids would cringe if they hear this, sorry guys, but if we could lock in and we could just remember that it's not about us, it's not only about us and what we're feeling, it's also about those around us and what they're feeling, and being able to be in tune with that.
Yeah, because it is definitely possible to get too focused on yourself and what you're feeling and what you're dealing with, and kind of, be blind to what's going on around you. But whatever it is you're feeling, whatever the list of things is that you're dealing with, you walk past somebody in school, at the grocery store, and you make assumptions that their lives are different, that their lives are better, whatever that means. And it's not true. Like, if we could wear like little signs like, oh, okay, oh, you're dealing with loss. Okay. Oh, financial issues are a concern for you. Like, you could have, oh, and I have health problems too. Like, if we could just know all of the things that were going on in somebody's heart and mind, we would probably be kinder, I hope, to know, like, hey, gosh, you were smiling. I didn't know that you were like dealing with all of these things. So I think it could make just for a kinder world if we realized, and if we were able to look past, like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm focused on. This is hard. This is hard. This is hard. Oh, but this is hard for you too. Like, you have your own list of things, your own challenges. Yeah. And it makes a huge difference in the way we communicate, in the way that we pursue community as well.
Right. I think also a big part in that is, for us growing up, we weren't always on. We didn't always have people's highlight reels in our faces. And unfortunately, that is a reality, and it's a reality that's not going anywhere. And so technology obviously comes with its pluses, right? Because we're having a podcast right now about supporting parents, because parents don't have enough time to go to a meeting to get that support, right? So that's an amazing part of technology, but along with pros, there are cons, and part of that con is always seeing someone's highlight reel and comparing that to your behind the scenes. And it's just not realistic. Like, one of the episodes that I did was talking about how you're literally seeing the 5 seconds before the chaos erupts.
It's so true.
Right? Like, that's not real life. Like, highlight reels are not real life. And it is great to celebrate and to want to look back at all those good things that happen, right? Like, we want to celebrate that, but our kids are seeing that and feeling that and experiencing that in a way that we'll never be able to understand because we did not have it in our childhood.
Yeah. No, it's a completely different world. And I'm not sure, like you said, there's definitely some pluses. Like during the pandemic, they could still be connected with friends. They could still see their faces, like there's definitely some pluses. But yeah, there are definitely major drawbacks. And I think it is worth for sure talking about those cons with your kids and be like, here's the thing, that's not real life. Like breaking it down. Like you said, that's 5 seconds, that's 10 seconds of somebody's life. And it's not reality. It just isn't. And no matter like the reality shows that we watch, again, they're not reality.
No, they're not.
They're not reality. And sometimes, yeah, we need a break from reality, sure. But you're not going to find that on social media. You're just not. It's social media. I mean, you can learn some stuff, but it's mostly fiction. It's just a different form of fiction. And yes, you can learn from fiction, but it's not like applicable. It's not like,
Right.
okay, well, I need that haircut and that nose job. And, that's not, that can't be how we use social media. I definitely think social media is meant for small doses.
Right. And that's such a beautiful way to put it, though, that it is fiction. Whereas
It's just a good story sometimes.
Right.
And it's one paragraph out of a chapter, out of a book.
Right.
That's it. That's all you're getting to see. And you don't know, what's been the lead up, what's been the story arc, what they've been through, what happened yesterday. We don't know any of that.
Mm-hmm. That is really powerful.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way before, to be honest with you. That just came to me.
Well, I love it. I think like it's a really great way to look at social media realistically.
Yeah.
Is to not put it in a realistic box because it's not. It actually is fiction. Like, yeah, those moments happened, but they're out of context.
Yes. Yes. And I think, goodness, we can inform our kids just by giving them questions to ask, and just the reminders. Well, this isn't real life. Like, this isn't prescriptive. This isn't something that you need to do. This is just how someone did this. Okay, but what have you done that was so good today?
Right.
Help bring it back to them instead of like this ethereal out there, like, is it real? Is it not? I don't know.
Well, and like bringing it back to us parents, like the amount of pressure to
social media is not good for me either.
Yeah,
let's just say that
exactly.
It's not good for me either.
Like to have to do all the things for everybody, for ourselves. Right. It's and then to do all the things with a smile on our face, right?
Yeah.
And what does belonging mean to you now as a parent, as a poet, and as a community member?
I think my definition of belonging has changed a little bit, actually, as I have matured. I think that belonging to me now means it's not just about like, who is my friend and who can I go do things with and who knows where my house is. And, it's not so much that anymore, but it like, where are the places that I can show up and contribute through the ways that I have been gifted? Like, just who I am, and I can show up, and that's enough.
Right.
Like, it's the fact that something called Poet Laureate of all these smaller towns in Connecticut exists, it just boggles my mind that there's a way that I can contribute to community because of the things that I love, because I love people and I love poetry and I love art and books. It just it just seems too good to be true that something like that exists and I get to like participate in something that's so amazing. So belonging to me now means like, okay, where are the places that I can be myself and have an impact at the same time? It's not so much as like belonging to something or having a place to go to, but it's more about like, okay, when I show up and I bring what I have, it's enough and it's needed.
Right.
And I think that, gosh, almost gives me chills because like it's just such a beautiful thing that we get to be part of the world in that way. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautiful. And I absolutely love like when for example, the Shoreline Music Festival was just this last week and actually both conductors of the band and of the chorus having the time of their lives. Like, I love when you see somebody in a role, whatever the role might be,
Mm-hmm.
a greeter at the grocery store, or a teacher, a conductor, an artist, somebody who cares for children, any of those things. And they like love it so much. And it's filling them up at the same time they're giving so much to other people. Like it is the best thing ever to see somebody, to be able to witness that, to witness somebody just like having the time of their lives doing the thing that they're meant to do.
Right.
Is one of my favorite things. Like I can't look away. I can't look away. And I was like, the chorus director, I was like, I want to be her friend. Like, because she was just having so much fun. And then she called people into action because she was like, hey, we hear a lot about all of the things, all the suggestions or the complaints, but music teachers, we don't hear about the good things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I encourage you because I'm not part of this district, but go ahead and email your kids' teachers, your band teachers, any of the teachers, and just like, hey, say thank you.
Right.
And I was like, you go ahead and you say that because she had the mic, because she was doing what she was meant to do. And I was like, standing ovation.
Mm-hmm. And showing up fully and showing up as yourself in a way where you're allowing the gifts given to you to not only fill your cup, but overflow into
Mm.
others. It really is. It's like magic.
It is. It's like the best thing ever. And I think if you're struggling, it could be because you don't have that in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we get that through our career, sometimes not. Sometimes it's our work in the community or the way that we are so involved in our kids' lives and taking them to all of the things. It comes through different ways and it looks different for every person. But I think it is important that every person finds that way, that when they show up and bring all that they are, it's the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that showing up full, so like you had mentioned, like we get like lost in our role as parents, which can happen very easily
Yeah.
because there's so many places the kids have to be,
Yeah.
so many, whether it's practices or rehearsals or like there just is so much of it. And they are our lives
Yeah.
for those first 18 years. But realizing how important it is to show them, for us to show up for ourselves,
Yeah.
is like one of the hardest lessons, I think, as a parent. It has been for me to be able to show up for myself and do something that I love so much,
Yeah.
and for it to like pour out into others. And then it actually ends up pouring out into our kids.
Oh, for sure. They see it. They see us pursuing the things that we love. They see us light up. They see us sometimes even get acknowledged for the ways that we
Mm-hmm.
belong, the ways that we give, the ways that we show up. And to say that it's, you know, because often when I'm writing, it is often to moms. It is often to women, just because that's my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, we're given a bad rap. Like, it's never selfish to pursue the unique giftings that are in us, whether whoever it is, whether you're working from home, whether you have a career, whatever the case may be. It is never selfish. It only gives back to you, and it gives back to your family. And you just never know. Like, I always would say to young moms, any touch that you have with your giftings, like, if you're a painter, have an easel and your paints right there in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get 10 minutes a day, that 10 minutes matters. That 10 minutes builds on what you can do tomorrow. That 10 minutes matters 10 years into the future.
Right.
Even if you don't see like a big, huge thing happening like tomorrow, it still matters that you show up as who you are when there are so many other distractions and so many really great reasons to not show up for yourself and show up as who you are. But it does matter to ourselves, like, and it matters to our kids. Like, my kids know, I'm not only their mother, but there's other sides, there's other parts of me, because I was a person before I became
Right.
a mom. Although I will also say that becoming a mother has instilled this insane confidence that I never knew before becoming a mom. It definitely, and I'm sure some of that's age, but also I think some of it is like I definitely pay attention more to the gut instinct, to the gut feeling. Like, I don't question that. I no longer work so hard. I used to work so hard to talk myself out of stuff. I just don't do that anymore. I don't have the energy for it. And I try to be the voice of reason for my kids. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe you can't do all of those things in a day. But, I also try to be the person to be like, that is totally possible for you to do that in 5 years' time, for you to have accomplished that. Like,
Right.
look at what you did. So I try to encourage them too, like, in the midst of, homework and school and pressures and all of that, like, take the time for those things that make you smile, for those things that you love, that fill you, because those are the things that are always going to be with you. Like, high school ends, like, you move away, you do different things, but who you are is always with you. And it's always like in college, like, that's how you show up. Like,
Right.
you no longer have, well, I was in this, this part of this crowd in high school, and I did this in high school, and I was part of this club. Like, none of that really matters anymore. Like,
Right.
once you move on to college, or once you move on to like a career after high school, like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's kind of this really cool opportunity to just like show up and be yourself and be who you've always wanted to be, and just like keep learning, keep growing.
Because belonging is more than having a home or having having the relationships, but it is also about showing up. Like, there's two sides of belonging.
Yeah. It's what you get out of it and how it fulfills you, and then also what you are able to give to it, and the ways that you help others belong, the ways that you make it a safe place for other people, or the ways that you come alongside somebody and say, like, yeah, hey, I've been through this, or let's do this together. Like, what's better than, like, anything is better when you're doing it with a friend. Like,
Yeah.
the hard times, the good times, it's all better when you're doing it with somebody. And I feel like we have an opportunity to teach our kids that, instead of pushing away people, instead of alienating people, instead of looking at, yes, I think it's important to acknowledge the differences that we have, and it's important to educate yourself on the differences and the ways that we're different, and the ways that we grew up differently. But also it's important to be like, hey, yeah, we're different, but we still have a whole lot in common.
Right.
There's still a whole lot of things that we can talk about. A whole lot of we love the same music. We both have guinea pigs. Because my son just came home and was like, oh my gosh, this new friend has guinea pigs too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not all that different. Like, we are, but also we're just humans. We're just humans. We feel, we love, we want to belong so badly. And sometimes belonging, like initiating that or somebody feeling that is as simple as a smile.
Mm-hmm.
It really, like, that can like make your whole week for somebody to smile at you at the grocery store, or, to reach out to somebody that's sitting alone at the lunch table, or to talk to the new person at work or the new person. Like, I definitely have noticed that I have a heart for new people. Like, when somebody's like, oh, I'm new to the area, I'm like, okay, like, what do you need to know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
here's what I found that I love. You got to go here. You got to do this. What are your questions? But it's just because I've been new often enough that I have this like sixth sense about new people. And I'm like, okay, do you want to have lunch? Like, because I can do
Right.
that. I can
Mm-hmm.
meet you for lunch, because sometimes that's what we need. It's just like, hey, somebody knows my name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our name is like actually our favorite word to hear.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So and it's important to know people's names and to learn there's, say their name properly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a different name, and we have a large Spanish population here. Like, it matters to learn a different language
Mm-hmm.
to be able to communicate with a neighbor. Yeah, I feel like it's important for us to go beyond ourselves a little bit. Like we were talking, like, it's not so much only about knowing yourself and your emotions and where you're at, but it's then, because you know who you are, you're able to take those steps and to reach across divides and be like, hey, like, we've got some stuff in common.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for a walk. Let's go out for lunch. Let's go look at the leaves together. Let's go for a drive. It doesn't have to be like this huge leap. I think that
Right.
sometimes we like imagine it to be. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And like, that's a great way to kind of to close out, because it's not only about what we can bring to the table and who we are, but it's how we can bring it to the table. It was like you were saying, like, poetry is fiction. So when we're reading the poetry, it's not to tell us who we are. It's to
Mm-hmm.
help us learn who we are. And then once we learn who we are, help others
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
to that same spot.
Yeah. Yeah. We can learn who we are like through so many different ways. Our friends tell us who we are, poetry, art, education. Yeah. And then being friends with different people,
Mm-hmm.
that makes it like, it's like, oh, okay, now I understand more and I have an interest in that. And I want to know more about you. I want to know more about what life was like before you moved to Clinton, because
Right.
people want to be able to share those things about themselves. And I feel like we've talked about how it's our world is so busy,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes we love the busy.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a way to escape. It's a way to
Mm-hmm.
say, well, I'm not going to engage. Oh, I have just so much going on. And I'm not denying that there's a lot going on, but I'm just saying that sometimes it's an out
Mm-hmm.
to say, oh, that I'm just so busy. I've got so much going on. But to be able to know your neighbor is like what it's all about sometimes. Like, it's really that simple
Right.
sometimes. And we need to make the time for that and understand that it's important to know our neighbor, to know what's important to the kid that's in junior high across the street from us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because what matters to him, like when you talk to somebody about something that matters to them, they will sit and chat with you, and you will learn about them and what matters to them. And I just feel like sometimes we make connection actually just harder than it has to be.
Right. And when you take that time, you help that person feel seen and heard.
Mhm. And I feel like that is also a huge epidemic. Like, there's an epidemic of loneliness.
Mhm.
And so this idea of belonging is a huge answer
Mhm.
to that. And it's not, again, it doesn't require a ton of money, a ton of planning. It doesn't require a lot from you to drop off a plate of cookies, to say, "Hey, I'm running to the store. Do you need anything?" It really is the little things, like we were talking about with social media, and how it's fiction and it's not real, and how it's just the highlight reel of somebody's life. Because it really, actually, in real life, it is those little things that add up. It's
Mhm.
those little things that are their most important things. And that's what a life is made of, is all of these little moments of connection, these little moments of belonging and community that makes a life that feels like a place of belonging. And
Right.
that's what everybody needs. And I feel like oftentimes we can easily deny that, to
Mhm.
each other, when it's really just a simple act of smiling or a simple moment of connection that can make a difference for somebody's whole life, whole day.
Mhm.
Some small thing, really.
Right. So then that's our call to action.
Yes.
Let's
I love
let's
it.
have a call to action. Take a moment.
Yeah.
And like I think we all feel the nudge to do it.
Yes. We talk ourselves out of it.
Yes. Or we have, like you were saying, we're like so busy that there's so much packed on top of the nudge.
Mm-hmm.
We don't fully feel it.
Yes, that's so true.
So, like, be present. Let yourself feel those nudges.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see an opportunity to connect and belong,
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah, because it makes a difference for you and everybody else.
hmm Bethany, I want to thank you so much for taking time to share your story, your art, and your perspective as both a poet and a parent. I loved hearing how creativity can open up space for reflection, connection, and belonging, not just for our children, but for us as parents too. You reminded us that community can be found and built at any stage of life, and that even when our paths to or our towns change, the heart of parenting is showing up, growing, and loving deeply stays the same.
Mm.
If you'd like to learn more about Bethany's work as Clinton's Poet Laureate, you can find her poetry and upcoming events at Poet Laureate Clinton, Connecticut on Facebook and Poet Laureate Clinton, Connecticut on Instagram. I will also make sure to include this in the podcast description. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts or reflections from this episode with your feedback or topic ideas for future episodes. Thank you for listening to Parenting in Our Community. Until next time, take a deep breath, give yourself some grace, and remember, you're not alone.